Good evening, everyone. My
Good
name is
night.
Devon.
Oh, go
My name
ahead,
is
Devon.
Devon Stephen, a representative from St. Lucia, and also the chairperson of the Caribbean Network of Fisherfolk Organizations, CNFO. Tonight, our topic of discussion is communication and networking. So, move right into the meat of the matter. So, tonight we will discuss what is communication and why do we communicate. So, these lines of networking is very important. So we shall discuss further on this. And we'll move to how do we communicate and how is the success of communicating. And then we have what is the examples of good communication plans and what is networking. What is communication? Communication is a process by which receiving message, whether it is verbal or non-verbal. As you can see in the picture here, we have a short description of how do people communicate verbally. Communication is the cornerstone of any organization's success, and that's the fundamental aspect. Because without communication, organizations will falter, they would fail, they will not move forward. Sorry, I see some things pop up on my screen. Okay, I shall continue. Communicating clearly is an essential leadership skill. Now, for leaders to be successful leaders, we need to know how to communicate with one another. And there are different types of communication. We have verbal, non-verbal, written, and visual. Sorry, some things are popping up on my screen. Sorry. And I believe communication should be credible, adequate, and timely. Why do we communicate? One, to change behaviors. And we communicate with others because sometimes we see our brothers or our leaders do something that is not right. So we have to call upon them so that we could put them in check. We could get them to act right and act within the guidelines so that our organizations move smoothly and in a better direction. We have two to get action. And I think this one is more of a more approach. This should take an approach so that things would be done. And as a PFO and the NFO, when we take action or to get action, is that for our organization to be better, to be steadfast, so that we could serve the fisher folk free to ensure understanding, so that people could have a better understanding of the work that we do at the PFOs and at the FFOs and at the NFOs, so that they could have a general idea of our mission and our goal and what we put forward to persuade, so that people could buy into what we do at the national level, in the primary societies, and even at the FFOs. But it's not just looking and seeing, but it's more or less having a greater understanding of what we do. To get and to give information. Communication is paramount. And if we don't communicate with our, let's say, government officials, our Department of Fisheries officials, how do we get things done? So we need to communicate with them so that one, we could have so there could be assimilation and dissemination of data. So we could hand out the data to them so they could take the relevant steps. How do we communicate? There are meetings. Before it was face to face, but now we have moved to a more virtual line of communication. If everyone remember the effects of COVID, and before COVID, there were a lot of face to face meetings, but since COVID came in, we have moved to a more virtual aspect. Social media. Social media is um, taking over the world now. So to get the message across, we use platforms like WhatsApp, which there is the CNFO platform there. There is Facebook. CNFO has a profile there. Instagram, I'm not too sure about the Instagram. They didn't correct me on there. Twitter and the groups. Again, the CNFO group chat. Literature. So we have flyers, we have newsletters, and we have briefs. And we have a newsletter, we have flyers, brochures that we publish every month end. There's a newsletter that we put out every month end so that people are aware of the work that CNFO does and what is being done in respective countries. That's information that is being handed out from the representatives from different countries so that it could be published in the letterhead. So we have the internet, we have emails, and we have a pro when it comes to emails in Miss Neba, Nadine, e-groups, Skype, or Zoom. That's what we are using right now. And we have the website, the CNFO website, where you could get practically everything that you need about CNFO. So we have the radio and the television, and that's one of the things that we have incorporated in getting out or getting people to know the work of CNFO. For the past couple of years, I can recall Nadine did one earlier this year for is it Fisherman's Feast or the celebration of Fisherman's Feast, and this is more of what we try to bring out so that people could know more about the work of CNFO. So having a broad range on a broadcasting team to bring out that message, I guess this is paramount. And we had networks. The networks, we have other NGOs or other organizations actually praising the work of CNFO, because I believe that what we do is very paramount and very encouraging for the region fisher folk. How do we communicate with stakeholders? So here is just a brief description of how we communicate with some of our stakeholders. So in this example, we have the head of fisher folk authorities at CNFO member states. So this is any fisher folk head of fisheries in your respective country. So how do we approach them? We keep informed. So what is our job? Our job is to advocate. What do we desire from the stakeholders to commit to formulating regional position on issues affecting Caribbean fisheries, especially for the purpose of making representation to international regulation bodies on behalf of fishers. So this is just an example. There are many more. And the desired action by the stakeholders with the commitment to communicating relevant decisions taken on industry at national and regional level to the affected fishers, fisher folk, and coastal communities. Another probably with the public endorsement of the activities of CNFO and participate in CNFO organizations. The communication tool to reach the stakeholders, and these 5 points is just a few, but there are many more. We have the bulletins, we have the newsletter that we put out every month end. We have correspondences where we have the chief, who is Nadine. She's the one responsible for sending a lot of these correspondences out. We have informal interaction, we have face to face, or we have via telephone. Some of these, like I said, the profiles have a lot of the information. So getting in touch with Nadine is not a daunting task. It's very easy. Plus, we have the email distribution. Communicating for success. How do we communicate for success? We could use the medium, which is the phone, voice, and video. But I would straight I was I would sorry I would stretch on phone, because a lot of the things that we do nowadays, it involves our phones, and being that a lot of our members are attached to the CNFO group chat, and a lot of information is being sent there. I think a lot of our members are informed. We have ICT, we have literature, which is the bulletin and whatnot. Another aspect of making successful communicating is withstanding scrutiny. And with scrutiny, you have to understand along the communication lines to accept scrutiny when you're wrong, and to work for better upkeeping of the organization. Involve feedback. To every action, there's a reaction. And I believe if there's no feedback, then a lot of things would just happen with ease. And I always believe in dialogue, so that we could always get other person's perspective and points of views. Ensuring the correct information is received, and that again would be very, or is paramount, because we don't send the wrong information across, so that people could be misunderstood as to the roles and objectives that we try to put out there. Someone has to monitor. I'm sorry, because the words are a bit mixed up here, so um I have to read it in a way. Someone has to monitor. And who has to monitor? We have leaders. We have leaders. We have NFOs, PFOs, leaders. We have to be responsible as fishers. I think everybody should monitor, and that's why we have a reporting system, so that everybody could be aware and know how to move forward in decision makings. Okay, so here is a simple example of a communication plan. So in the first column, we have the strengths, and in the second column, we have the weaknesses. So this is from the TTUF, the Trinidad and Tobago, and this is from a communication and advocacy plan back in 2016. So the first point, we would have the valid purpose and the role in the sector. And we have this strong relationship with state and other stakeholders, establishing or establishing, establish regional and international network and support. That's the strengths. All these are already the strengths. High potential for membership growth for fishing organization and fisher folk. High concern for fishing communities. And we have members, knowledge in fishing sector and its needs. So improve capacity to advocate for fisher folk. And we have the commitment to improve. And the weakness are inability to prove that organization represents the majority of the fisher folk in Trinidad and Tobago. The other point is unable to communicate roles and function of organization to membership and fisher folk. Inadequate current internal structure for effective implementation of communication and advocacy. Another one that is very burden is the lack of financial resources available to implement a thorough communication and advocacy strategy, and the lack of commitment and support. I believe in that aspect, we have to look at a building capacity and access to finance. And these are the fundamental areas that a lot of our, especially the PFOs, are faced with. Capacity building, people to serve, and the access to finance. CNFO communication recommendations. So we have about 9 mini slides that shows the worker CNFO. And one is the CNFO should recruit in-house communication expertise to work alongside the PROs, the public relations officer. And what happened? Oh, sorry, hold on. Are you going to see the screen, right? Hello?
We're seeing the screen.
Yes, we're seeing the screen.
Okay. Something just popped up on my end. Okay, CNFO should develop an annual work plan for which to create half-year communication plans. And we normally meet on a quarterly, or sometimes a little over that, with our members to inform them of the work of CNFO and what we looking to implement. So the second slide would indicate that. The CNFO should task someone with the duty of monitoring national, regional, international development that could impact on Caribbean fisheries, with the view to develop appropriate communication products to circulate. That's good. The CNFO should build a strong relationship with the communication and information officers in irrelevant governance ministries and its members countries. Sorry, people. I just fall out. I just followed in my eyes, playing I have some issues with my eyes, so let me just. What happened? The CNFO should build a profile for itself within the regional media. And like I said earlier, we have moved to that form of getting our work out there and what we do out there through television and radio, social media platforms. The CNFO should consider using its multimedia documentary of its activities and enhance its website. Again, that would be incorporated with the newsletters that we publish every month, and the bulletins and the updates that are being published. The CNFO should ensure that the website is updated on a monthly basis, and this is just coinciding with the one previously. We do that every month. The CNFO should implement a recording system that provides a more robust organizational memory. And this is what we're doing right now. We are actually recording all our Zoom meetings for further observation and and summarizing. The CNFO should establish protocol for arriving at decisions that establish timelines for the dissemination of information and feedback. And yes, so this is basically saying what we have. We meet our members and we actually lay down everything on the table so that they are aware of what is happening within CNFO. CNFO communication products. Again, this is an example of a bulletin, and this is an example of what a letter. The newsletter is. This is an example of a newsletter and a bulletin. So as you can see on there, what we are trying to achieve by 2025 is contributing to the 25% by 25. And the other one is the newsletter. This is from member states, members from member states. All the information that is there is a compilation of everything that they send to Nadine. So Nadine is the one who actually compiles and does the letterheads. So coordinated communication. So we have a leadership, and our leaders are the ones who actually make the decisions. So they are the ones who actually represent us, and they are the ones who should have our best interests. Top level responsibility secretary. I believe this is top level responsibility secretary. Believe this is more like the high the top players or the stakeholders, the ones who are actually responsible for a lot of decision making. Oh my God. So we move on to effective agents, and the effective agents are more or less the bigger stakeholders, those who are directly involved in the decision making of the fisher folk. You have the public relations, the people who actually put out um, the information to the media, to the well, to media, the mediums available. You have the specific office or offices. Again, these are the people that are the decision those that are the decision takers, those who play the big part. So we have the group members, which are ourselves, the FFOs, the PFOs, the people who are directly involved, and we have aware and assisting. We are aware of the people who are aware, which is us, and how do we assist in making a better decision for our fisher folk. So we move to what is networking? Networking is what we do in the CNFO amongst ourselves, being that we represent 17 national fisher folk organization and PFOs to join that join to form one umbrella body. So we have the external networking, which helps in growing our connection to professionals outside of our organization. And just to name a few, we have SERMIs and FAO, but we have more more um partners out there that are coming on board. We have the Pan American Development Fund. We just start working on a project with and some other partners. We have internal networking. Many of us do well amongst ourselves, and even among the group chat. Um, we do a little networking in country, in our own country, amongst ourselves in different districts. So this is basically another example of internal networking. So this is just a few questions and answers that we have on our last slide. And how 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 is message carried to the members of your fisher folk organization? So this will be open for discussion. And how is information carried from your fisheries division to the fisher folk organization that you are a member of? Again, we'll discuss this shortly. And who handles communication within your organization? And what would you say is the biggest communication challenge within your organization? So this is just a few questions to open the floor to everybody so that we could open a dialogue on communication. So the floor is open to anyone to comment and to make a contribution.
Devon, if you want to leave the slide with the questions on the screen, and then perhaps you can decide whether you want to look at them one by one or what. But yes, but that would probably be the sort of stuff you want participants to focus on looking at the questions themselves. So what is your
Yes,
pleasure?
it actually came off by itself. I had it there a while ago.
Yeah, but you can just scroll down and you'll get it. Yeah, that is it. So just hit
Yes.
show. Just hit show and this will be there on the screen.
Yes. Like I said, the floor is open to everyone who wants to answer or make a contribution. Or do we look at it one by one, Mitch?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's your pleasure. If you wanted to look at one by one, or if you want participants to just contribute to any particular one that they wish.
Um, way.
So then yeah.
All right, so all right, we'll take it one by one. So how is messages carried to the members of the fishing organization in your country? So the floor is open to anyone to answer or to make a contribution.
Hi, good night, Mr. Koshi Tobago, Junior Koshi to be exact. Here in
Good night.
Trinidad and Tobago, what we do is to send the message out, we use a lot of media. Like, for example, we have WhatsApp group from different groups to groups with the fisheries that we use a lot. And we also try our best to reach the fishers in the afternoon when they come from the sea. Because we know most time in the day, the fishers go out and fish and they come home in the afternoon. So we just try to fit in ourselves to suit the fishers, right? I think going across to like fisheries, the head of fisheries in our country here, it's a serious problem we're having. Right? Communication-wise is not good, to be honest. I will say this. But our fishers ourselves have a better communication with ourselves and the groups than the fisheries division here in Trinidad and Tobago. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Junior Kwashi on this one.
Here in Jamaica, normally we have leaders for the different organizations, and so information is shared to the leaders most of the times or through emails, and we have WhatsApp groups that have been created with members in it. And so whenever time the information is disseminated to the WhatsApp group, everybody have an opportunity who is on the group to see what and to hear what is happening. Outside of that, there are times also when the messages will come to the head of the organization, and it might be that they want to have a meeting is to be held and stuff like those. And so what would happen is that when the message reaches you via an email, then you will need to mobilize your fishing group and aware them of the time and date when the meeting will be held. And then you have that communication there. So persons will assemble at that particular time, and then the message or the persons will come and they will do their presentation or come with the information that they want to share, if it is that it is to be shared to the bigger group. But if it is that you just want to communicate to the leaders to tell them new developments on the way forward, that is often done via emails or WhatsApp group. And so, for example, you want to send a quick message, you could always just call everybody in the group at one time via WhatsApp, and then you could disseminate that information. So those are the two main sources that we use to communicate here in Jamaica. Those are the number two. One is email and the other is via WhatsApp group, because that it's easy to reach persons via WhatsApp. You might not get everybody through email, but because of the WhatsApp group, it's easy, accessible, and so you get more persons to participate. You get to sell the information more quickly, and you also have the each one tell one. So if it is that I get some information, you might not necessarily be privy to a phone that have WhatsApp feature, and so the message can be sent out by somebody hearing and telling it to somebody else. So those are two of the main mediums that we use to disseminate information here in Jamaica.
Yes. just like you, Miss Paulette, we use the same mode. We have the email aspect, we have the WhatsApp group, and each one tell one. So we have correspondences coming in, and word of mouth, as we say it colloquially.
Yes, good evening. And to add to what Miss Paulette said, most of our fishing beaches, we have notice boards. And some of them which we have gear stores, there are always notice boards. So we reach out to them by posting notices and flyers on those notice boards that, you know, the fishermen go to the gear store very often. They will see upcoming events and stuff, meetings and all of that on the notice board.
Yeah, so if that's all the contributions on the first question, we'll move to the question: how is the information carried from your fisheries division to the fisher folk organization that you are a member of? Again, the floor is open to everybody who wants to make a contribution. Okay, I'll go first in that aspect. Again, we have the correspondences coming from the Department of Fisheries, and we have phone calls being placed. So these are the two main modes of communication that we use: emails and phone calls.
Okay, here in Jamaica, the Fisheries Division information will reach the Fishermen's Cooperative by either an email, or some are involved in WhatsApp groups, or there will be a phone call to one of the board members who will then give the information to the rest of the members and so forth.
Strong winds of Hurricane Milton will pick up objects.
And also you have different members from the different fishing cooperatives that serve on the board of directors and the supervisor committee for the organization. And so when information is being shared, it is incumbent on the representative to go back to their local fishing cooperative and to disseminate that information to the wider fisher folk community.
In the Bahamas, we communicate primarily by WhatsApp. We have a couple of WhatsApp chat groups that we communicate with fishers in. There's not a lot of response from emails, that sort of thing, because, you know, a lot of fishers are just not going to use email, or they don't use email, but they will respond to WhatsApp. And before WhatsApp, it was the SMS text messages that everybody would seem to get. It's kind of difficult for us to spread information by word of mouth because the message always gets convoluted and diluted or changed. So we primarily depend on WhatsApp.
If I may add from Barbuda, Antigua and Barbuda's end, two mediums that we have used effectively is television and radio, where you have community services and fisheries will post clips on the radio, TV, the community service slots. Fishers are always listening to radio when the vessels are, you know, just sitting around the complexes and stuff like that. So a lot of times, I think that is a good way of getting information out there as well. Using the community service slots on radio and TV.
It's better. Any more contributions? Okay, so we move to the third question. And it asks, who handles communication within your organization? So I'll go first. But it depends on the importance of the information that is being put out. Normally we have an ordinary employee or member, and I'm talking about the PFOs, right? And the NFO, the NFO, we would have the admin assistant. She's the one responsible or tasked with the responsibility for communicating. But at the PFOs, we would have the managers. The managers are the ones solely responsible for putting or handling the information. Anyone
I
want
think
to
that is the
add to that?
same medium that is primarily used here in Jamaica. You have the manager will be the one who you have the manager have a personal secretary who gets the information. All information comes into the secretary, and that information is forwarded to the manager, who would share the information with the board of directors, and they would make the decisions from that. And I think that's how it is done.
Any other person wish to share?
Devon again. I think information, if it's coming in, will go through you know, the president or the chair of the organization, trickle down to the secretary who would prepare that information. This is information coming in. And if it has to be communicated to the fishers and all that, well, it would have gone through those two people. Then if you have a strong PRO to disseminate the information, that would be the best way to collect and disseminate information.
Thank you for that, Mr. Warner. Okay, so if there are no more contributions, we move to our final question. What would you say is the biggest communication challenge within your organization? And I will go first, like I have before. So I would say getting it out there to all the members. Although we have, well, we call them, some of them don't pick up. We put up posters, they don't read. We call them, but it's like, they don't take any heed. So I would say that's one of the biggest communication challenges that we have. Anyone feel free to.
Interesting, in all the Caribbean countries, the sentiments I think is the same, because yes, you have the information to share, but getting the audience to share the information is the biggest challenge. And I think it goes right across the board in the different Caribbean countries. I think everybody have the same issues, because it is very difficult to get fisher folks together collectively to participate and to share information, because persons are always in a busy mood, in a hustle mood. So persons don't have, fisher folks as a whole say they don't have time for, you're calling meetings, or you're calling everybody together to get inputs or to share information. That is very hard to come by, because you will never be able to get the fisher folks together at any one time. And as Chair said, there are times when if persons have to go out there and give the information. It's always second-hand information. Persons never always carry the information the right way, like how they get it. It is always twisted, and you get a different version from what the initial information was. And so that is the biggest challenge. Because whichever medium you choose to use, you will not get the full cooperation of all involved at any given time. And so there are times when misguided information will go out there, and we know bad publicity sells. If you want to get a lot of reviews, just send something that is false out there and everybody grab that quickly. But the right information, you're not able to get it out as you would have liked, because of the, persons are always not having the time. They don't have time for this. They are always on the go. They are just as busy as the fish in the sea. That's how I think. So I think the other countries can attest to this sentiment as well. That this is the greatest challenge in communication in the fishing industry. Persons not there to really get the first-hand information like you would have wanted, and to participate in decision making.
And again, Miss Paulette, not to cut you short, I believe the question should be why. Why is it that fishers don't show interest? I believe sometimes you give them a stipend and they still don't show up. So the question still beckons why? Why are they not showing any interest into their own affairs?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I can't think of any one thing, because I mean, any intervention, it is for the benefit of all. And so I cannot understand. I try to figure it out, but I cannot understand why persons are not so enthused to be a part of the organization or the industry that is driving their livelihood. I don't know why. I just don't know. I can't answer that question. It's really a problem. I don't know. I don't know what the real issue is.
Okay, I could only relate to what I see happening on my end. And even before, when we had certain members on the board, so to speak, we would have these people that were very influential, and these people that there were people that would look up to them, listen to them, and they would call them in, and they would come, they would sit, they would listen. And sometimes you have different people come in, different characters, and people just shy away. And not only that as well, I mean, we have a population of aging fishers. We all know that. And I don't know, it's just that they're so disconnect with the organization. It's like, it's I don't care kind of attitude that they give out. I mean, you would hand them an invitation. That's another form of communicating with them, give them an invitation to attend a meeting, and they just discard it. They don't even look at it. They just discard it, and that's just it. They don't show up. It's like they don't even show interest. I mean, sometimes we have little projects going on, like fad creating, show how to make a fad and whatnot, and they don't even come. So I seriously don't understand what the dilemma is, but it's prevalent in a lot of Caribbean countries, as you say. I don't know if there are other Caribbean countries that face the same issue, but sorry, but it actually shows that we share the same sentiments in between Jamaicans and Lucia.
Yes, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have the same problem. Fisher folk do make time for ourselves, because I'm a fisher folk myself. We don't make time for ourselves because we tell ourselves if we take time off and go to a meeting or take a letter for invitation, we will lose out. But here in Trinidad and Tobago, if we see money, everybody will turn out. So I try to understand sometimes how the fishers operate, because some of the forum that you are going to is to make money, but yet they don't have the time to go to that forum to make the money. They want the money now.
And that's why basically most of the times if you see a lot of fisher folks congregating at any one place at any one time, something is there to give away in the immediate. They come for, they hear that this is gonna be shared up, or some wires come to be distributed, or some net or something, so persons will just flood the area just to get that. Otherwise, from that, they're not coming out, because the first thing, if you tell them about a meeting, the first thing they ask, what are they getting when they come? If they're getting money, are they getting this, are they getting that? If not, they're not showing up. But if they hear that something is physically there to be given away, then you will get them shown.
Any other contribution from any other members from other countries?
Yeah, I just want to say something. I just want to add something here. I think as millennials, we need to accept that the majority of our fishers are not millennials, and they are not of the level that we would expect them to be as as fisher people. I mean, I don't know what the expectation is, but we have to accept it. There's some words I don't want to use, but it's the reality. So often we
understand.
often we put too much faith in their ability to understand certain things, and because they sometimes want to save face, they stay away. Okay, meetings require reading and dialogue. If people are not accustomed to that, or are not comfortable with that, they're not going to attend. They're not going to come around. But it's easier to do what they understand, which is either catch fish or accept things or whatever. It has a bit of politics to do with it too, because politicians all make our people believe that that is easier for them to accept a handout than a hand up, right? But I I would like to believe that the environment is shifting somewhat, where we are understanding that others may have their limitations, and we should find ways to better accommodate them, and maybe crafting the message to suit them and all that. But it's going to take some, it actually is going to take a generation to change, and it's a hard fight. But we'll be complaining about it now because we are the ones who are in the fight. The next generation would, I'm sure, not be experiencing what we're experiencing now in this growth period. So we have to take it as it comes and take the bitter with the speed. And our fishermen are just not people who are going to sit down and listen to a book. I mean, a lot of them hardly want to read a map, because they depend on historical knowledge and all that. So I just want to contribute, add that intervention. That's all. Thanks.
I think that was well said. Because if we just take, for example, this training that is going on in CNFO, for fishers, it's for self-development and all that. And look at the numbers. Persons are not so interested, so you find that the numbers fluctuate from time to time, because persons don't see any real reason to participate. And it's really a problem, because I mean, if you are being trained, it's for your own self-growth, your own self-development, and you are not interested. You know, so we're having an issue, and as chair says, we have to as the leaders and as the converted few, we have to begin to look at how we craft the message or the invitation, as it were, to tailor it to fit the fisher folk. And that's why I always tell persons, if it is that we are going to be having an intervention for fishermen, we have to come with layman language, fisherman language. You don't make any sense you come in with this big word and this big presentation. Because fishermen don't read. So putting up a poster or something, nobody will pay any attention. And so we have to craft the message that we are coming with have to be to their level. In fisherman terms, in fisherman language, which they will understand. And then they might give you a listen. Otherwise, from that, they're not interested.
So I was gonna agree with Adrian, with regards, especially with regards to meetings. Um, and he was right on point. But one of the things that I face as president of the Fishermen Association here in Barbuda and still face is that a lot of the fishers would tell you straight up, well, I elect you to do this. So as long as you're doing it to their benefit, they don't really care when it comes around to election time, and and you lobby enough to get them to come out to vote and whatever. If you're doing a good job as an administrator, they maintain you or they change you if they think you failed. But outside of that, and I'm pressing on the meeting aspects of it now, not the training and stuff, because if you have enough to pique their interest, they'll turn out to the trainings. But when it comes to meetings, physical meetings where they're going to be asked to make contributions, they leave that up to you because they are, I mean, I've been told straight up, that's why we elected you guys to be our lead in the organization. And they're comfortable with that.
So I could agree with you on that, Mr. Warner. Any other interventions or contributions? I see we have quite a few. We have about 15 people in there. We have people we have not heard from. Or is it that we all
Just
share the same sentiments?
yeah,
Go ahead.
Devon, just one more thing. Kind of a funny story actually, but I think I want to share it with you guys. We're doing a project here in the Bahamas with improving radio communications. Because unlike the rest of the Caribbean, right? Most of our 99% of our fishing is done within the Great Bahama Bank. So we primarily use shortwave radios, but we're trying to do a project now where we're exploring a project through a telecommunications provider to standardize the radios that some folks use. Some guys use satellite radios, other guys use single sideband. Most people use VHF, but different brands. Anyway, so I sent out a circular, a question, asking fishermen to just to tell us what type of radio set that you use, Uniden, Motorola, whatever. They came back and told me what I asked in that question for. I must go to the customs department and find out who bringing in what kind of radios. I said, Jesus. I said, but wouldn't it be easy if you just tell me what kind of radio you use? And that was a big conversation among them. So it just goes to show, sometimes you have to craft the message, because as simple as I think that question was, I still think they misunderstood what it is that I was trying to say to them. So I'm just saying, that sometimes we can have an epic failure in our communications when we're speaking with fishermen. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to throw that in.
Another contribution is that I always employ a fisher, at least a competent fisher, to always be on the executive of, you know, the primary society that I represent, just to have a greater understanding and, to be at the decision making. And sometimes when you elect a fisher, someone who you deem would do a good job, they vehemently decline. Like they don't want any responsibility. It's like, you could handle this. You could take care of that. And when the tables are turned, when decisions are being taken that doesn't benefit them, that's when the confusion and all the conflict starts. So again, it's just having people that are not only people but fishers that are competent enough to sit at the decision making table. And sometimes you don't even get it. So if there aren't any more interventions and contributions, I would like to thank everyone for showing up this for tonight's training. Your presence shows your commitment and desire to be part of CNFO and all what it has to offer. I thank you again for coming and being part.